I got no faith.
Okay.
My mom is a Christian.
Okay.
And my dad is a Muslim. Yeah, I don't know. There's so many faiths in the world. What's true and what's fake? Sometimes you have evil thoughts, right? Where does that come from? It might be the devil. I can't lie. Sometimes I feel like this voices are talking to me, innit? If I was to go to heaven or hell, I think I'll go to hell, honestly. Religion is a big thing, and I've been too ignorant to it, so I will look into it. I learned a lot today. Hello, YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to Christian Street Talks.
Conversations.
Okay, let's do that again. Okay. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to subscribe to Christian Street Conversations. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.
Do you have any faith, any religion, any belief? Did you have something in the past, your family? What's your sort of story?
Well, I got no faith.
Okay.
My mom is a Christian.
Okay.
And my dad is a Muslim.
Interesting.
Growing up, when my dad was around, we didn't eat pork in our household. So I kept that tradition. But I'm not a Muslim, but I still don't eat pork because I kept it since I was young.
Out of respect, yeah.
Not respect, it's just I got used to it.
Right, okay.
And then when I eat pork, I can't lie, my body starts to feel weird. Like,
so you've tried it?
I've tried pork, yeah.
Like
I'm not Muslim, so I can eat pork, but I
yeah.
just decide not to, innit?
Yeah.
Because my body starts to feel weird. Yeah. And you got any religion?
I'm a Christian.
Yeah?
I'm a Christian, yeah.
Whole family Christian?
Well, I was born in a Catholic family. I'm from Croatia. Croatia is mostly Catholic, and my parents were, my mom especially was Catholic, but I was born in a time where it was a communist country and religion wasn't something that was advertised freely. It was largely kept, people weren't necessarily persecuted, but if you said that you went to church, then you didn't have certain privileges in society. So, but my mom encouraged me to go to church, and then as I grew up, maybe like yourself, out of habit, I kind of continued to go to church.
Yeah.
But if you were to ask me then, like, what do I really believe? I would say I thought that there was God, but I couldn't tell you much more than that. It was more of a, what I would say, like a faith that came from that was passed on to me, that I inherited, and that I kind of felt as part of my identity as a Croatian, really, but not really something that I kind of personally made a difference in my life, so to speak. Yeah.
All right, that's nice.
Yeah, and if I were to sort of, I appreciate the interesting sort of story that you have, but have you thought about, like, is there a God? Like, that's a big question, right?
Yeah,
is there a God?
Is there a God?
What's your thought on that?
My thought.
Yeah, honestly, you're not gonna hurt me. You're gonna, I don't know, just like really honestly what you're thinking.
Honestly, me, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. There's so many faiths in the world. What's true and what's fake? Like what's true and what's like not real? You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know if there's a God or not. I'm interested. Like, if I'm interested, what's in the afterlife? If I go heaven, hell, or if I be reincarnated, I'm not sure. There's so many different beliefs. I don't know which one's like true in it.
I can understand. Yeah, you're right. There are multiple voices, multiple claims, but I don't know whether it's, correct me if I'm wrong, right? Whether you're sort of just, maybe it's the overwhelming nature of the religions, right? They can be quite complicated. Islam says this and Christianity says this, and there's churches and there's history. For the moment, I'm putting that to one side. Like, if you were to not think about any of that, you're not going to hurt anyone, you're not going to insult anyone, but like the idea of being, when I say God, like someone who is behind all of this, right? So you look at beautiful evening that we have today, you look at the sunset, you look at the miracle really of life, the diversity of nature, animals, the fact that we exist here. Do you think there's someone behind it all? That's kind of, and someone maybe that you could pray to, like someone who's maybe beyond our understanding, but reachable still.
If I was, from what I know of, yeah, with the knowledge I have, we are on planet Earth, right? There's millions of other planets.
Yeah.
Therefore, there's a high chance there's millions of other life forms.
Okay.
And that could mean that there's no God since there's other planets, if that makes sense.
Well, it makes sense, but that assumes, and correct me if I'm wrong, right? But you're assuming that that mathematics, that statistics I'm well familiar with, but it assumes that life can come out of not necessarily nothing, but can arise, can come up by itself from just time and chance. That's the assumption, right? That's the assumption. The assumption is that you put material somewhere, you give it enough time, and over time, given the right conditions, life will happen spontaneously. Yeah. That's your understanding, right? And that's the assumption behind that statement, right?
Pretty much like the Big Bang and all that. Apparently that's what happened, yeah. But okay, if this Big Bang happened to this planet, yeah, imagine the other planets.
But the question is, did that happen to this planet? That's the key question, right?
Okay.
Did we all get here through
Big Bang?
Well, not necessarily Big Bang. I think it's pretty sure that the universe is expanding. The science is pretty clear on that. And we can see that through the telescopes, and things are still moving, galaxies and stuff like that. We can kind of observe that something is still, like if it's expanding, it means that it had a beginning. What is not as clear, right? It's not as clear that we can go from a situation where you have not life, like rocks, dust.
Yeah, true. It could be.
How do you go from dust and rock to bacteria, algae, viruses?
Yeah, okay.
Like, let alone you and me. Yeah, you and me are complicated, right? But I'm talking about even the simplest life forms. And I think that's what science doesn't have an answer for right now. It assumes that just through some sort of chance and assembly of chemicals, electricity, right conditions, that this will happen. But it's a very, very, I would call it, thin theory. It hasn't been proven. It's just a theory, and it doesn't. The more scientists look at life, the more they're just astounded of how even the simplest, like simple amoeba, is just so complicated. What's happening in there, that it's very difficult to imagine it can happen on its own. That's what I'm saying.
So now that I've heard everything you said, it's a lot to take in, isn't it?
I know.
Science has no way to explain how life forms starts, right?
Yeah. It's not to say they will never be able to explain. I'm just saying at the moment, the more we look at it, the more science looks at it, the more questions. Right? It's more questions than answers.
Well, we do have a sun here, and we put the water in this earth. Okay, that's true.
Yeah.
I'm an atheist, innit? This question is mad. I'm an atheist.
But here's what religions would say, right? I'm not going to name any religions now. I'm going to be very generic, right? And this is true. This is true of at least of Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, right?
Okay.
Between all three religions, they say, look, actually it didn't come out of chance. It didn't come through just sort of on its own through periods of time. There was a God behind it all. And he was very, very intentional. Like there was a plan. There was a plan in his mind. He knew what he was doing. The planets, the stars in this earth are there because he brought it about, right? Now the details of how he brought it about, was it using certain methods, like maybe even evolution, maybe he used it, maybe he created it and put it in place so that the changes can happen naturally, or maybe he spoke it through just the words of power. Somehow he created it, or how he did it, we can debate and all that kind of stuff. But those three would say there's a mind, there's an intelligence, there's an intention and a will behind it all.
I do feel like sometimes, I'm sure for you as well, sometimes you have evil thoughts, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Where'd that come
Everyone,
from?
me, you,
Yeah.
every single human has evil thoughts, yeah?
Yes,
Where does that come from? It might be the devil. Yeah,
could be.
I've had up thoughts before, yeah?
Yeah,
Could be the devil, innit? It could
could
be the
be.
devil.
Yeah,
It could be, or it just could be me, or it could be something else, like.
yeah. What's interesting, yeah, intelligence and conscious. Our conscious is a like mysterious thing. Like that's another mystery for science. Like, what does it mean to think? Like if I were to open, I'm never gonna do this by the way, but like if I were to open your brain up,
Yeah.
right? And could I find a piece of your brain cell that is responsible for your thinking right now? Is it located in a specific part of your brain that if I were to take it out, you would never have that thought again? Is your memory located somewhere? Is every thought that you'll ever have, is it predetermined in your mind? What happens in our dreams? That's strange as well. Where do they come from? Like you are not conscious, you don't will your dreams, they just sort of come somewhere. There's some strange things happen in your dreams. You're like,
Nightmares, where did that come from?
nightmares, right? You're reading books. Where are books coming from in our dreams? Where are other voices and other characters coming in? Like it's a very mysterious. And would you agree then maybe with the statement that we are spiritual creatures as well? We're not just flesh and blood, but we are something more than that.
We are the most intelligent being on this planet.
Okay. But robots are
have-
intelligent. But look, hold on, right?
Flesh and blood, yeah?
AI, GPT is
Yeah.
becoming intelligence, right?
Yeah,
But I'm
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about something else. I'm not talking about just intelligence. Intelligence is just like reasoning, logic, that kind of stuff. But there's more. Spirituality is a little bit more. You feel fear. You feel someone's looking at you now. Maybe you feel eyes are upon you, or you feel awe when you look at the sunset. You're just struck with awe and emotion when you look at it. I mean, those are the spirituality that we're uniquely attributed to with, right?
The spirituality stuff. Let's say you take MDM or not MDMA, the DMT stuff, yeah?
I heard about that. Yeah, and you can recreate some of that stuff, right? Some of those feelings.
They
Yeah.
say you can spiritually connect to the world. I've never tried it, but I think they're crazy. Like these people that do DMT,
But like, why would you want to do that, right? I mean, that would be my question. Like, I
but
mean,
they
I guess
use-
experimenting, or whatever. yeah.
they use drugs to be spiritual, innit? Like hippies, they do drugs to be spiritual.
It's been used throughout the history. Like you go to Amazon, right? And you can do mushrooms, right? And you can have all sorts of spiritual experiences, right? I'm not saying those are not real, but they are sometimes dangerous, right? Because they open you up to some. Like if you believe this is a spiritual world, that means that there's good spirituality, but there is, like you talked about, evil and demons. And I think when we just open ourselves up to anything, and in these sort of like seances and DMT and mushrooms, I think we are opening ourselves up. Our spirit is being opened up to influence from who knows what, right? And I know of stories of people who have continuously done these things and are regretting it because they've opened themselves up to some dark stuff, possession, their life kind of really being affected by this oppression, dark thoughts, suicidal things, to the extent that they've had to seek help, right? And they would usually go to the priest or someone, like, just help me, just like I hear voices now. I have no idea what's real, what's not. It's not like a medical issue. Doctors don't know what it is. Like, help me out, what it is. Like, and that's what I'm saying. That's quite dangerous, right? If we don't know what we're dealing with. But it just shows that there is a spiritual reality.
In one form or another, there is. Yeah, there is. I can't lie. Sometimes I feel like voices are talking to me, innit? Like I do, like I'm sounding crazy, but sometimes I do feel like there's a devil out there.
Right.
Like just some situations, yeah, it's just like when I'm thinking about some stuff, right? Like some mad stuff just happens, innit? And I feel like voices, and I'll start to like think about evil stuff. I do think like some devils or something is out there, innit? But that's only if I start thinking about like bad stuff in it, then I become get into the rabbit hole. That's what I mean. Like, I don't just think about like bad stuff in it. But once I do and I get to the rabbit hole, I just feel I do feel like there's a devil.
I think it can pull you in, right? The more you think about it, the more it goes on. Yeah.
Also, let me ask you something. Humans, we are the most greediest living thingies on earth, right? Do you agree?
I would agree. You know what the word is, like a religious word for that condition. Do you know what it is?
No.
Sin.
Okay, sin.
Right. So sin is what you exactly just described. That the human beings, apart from being wonderful, uniquely created, very complicated, strange, we are also, and everyone I speak to has admitted to this. Like they would use different words. They would say, "Oh, we're fallen," or "We're imperfect." But what they really mean is that we know that we're not entirely good. We know we're greedy. We're selfish.
As much as we think we're not, we are. In truth, we are. Like, so Islam, yeah. I wouldn't say selfish, but they don't want their women to be seen by other men. But in Christian, that's fine. They don't really care.
Yeah. Some may care more than others. Like I know there are Christian communities where women do put things on their heads and do dress very modestly for the same reasons as Muslims, and historically they've done much more. So I guess it's to what extent you let yourself be guided by this secular society. Yeah.
I do understand about Muslims covering up their women, because if I see a girl that's half naked, I will have like intentions. Like I'll start thinking,
lustful thoughts. Yeah, no, we're men. We're men of blood and sweat.
Exactly. Like, so I do understand why Muslims cover up the women.
Yeah.
And in Christians, they got different belief, but with their women, like their way is different. So backtracking, I honestly don't know what's out there. Is there a God or nothing? Mm-hmm. But now that I'm speaking to you, there probably is a higher form of power. Mm-hmm. If you die, personally, if I die, I don't want to go to hell. Mm-hmm. I don't want to go to heaven. I don't want to go to purgatory. Mm-hmm. I don't want to exist if I die. You know what I mean? I don't want to be reincarnated. I just don't want to exist. What about you?
I'm with you on that. Like that's what scared me, right? Like that idea. I mean, I told you a little bit about my history, right? But one thing that kind of consumed me, even as I was growing up, is that idea that there is an afterlife of some sort, right? I didn't necessarily have proof for it, but I felt like if there's God, then there must be, if we're souls, not just body, flesh and blood, but if we're souls, the soul persists. And after I die, there must be something that goes on. And then if there is a heaven and a hell, like I didn't want to end up in hell. I mean, people sometimes joke, oh, hell is like, just a giant party and you can do whatever. No, I mean, hell is like when you feel, in this earth, when we feel scared, fearful, when we feel pain, suffering, depression.
Yeah.
Hell is much even worse than those are just small shadows, I would say, of what hell is actually going to feel like. Hell is just darkness, suffering, no friendship, no comfort, pain, to the extent unimaginable, and then going on forever, right? And that struck me to the core, like, and I sort of wondered, is that where I'm heading to, right? And like you, I was honest with myself to know that, look, I've done some good things, but like I'm not proud.
You're not perfect.
I'm not proud of some of the other things that I've done and thought. And if there's God who knows me, who knows my thinking, who knows my heart, who knows the stuff that I've done in secret, stuff that I shouldn't have done, then I would be found out, right?
Okay, go. Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
The process of you, like when you die, yeah. Do you think you'll go to heaven or hell or purgatory or whatever? Just by those three.
Yeah.
By your actions in life, now and in the future, Okay, no, you can't really say the future, but from now on the past, do you think you'll go to heaven, hell, or purgatory?
Okay. Let me tell you, the answer might be, but let's establish some foundations first of all, right? Like, to me, heaven is presence with God. Like, where God is, that's where heaven is, right? Because He created heaven for the purpose of His creation being with Him. That's how I believe. Like, heaven is not just like a good food, and or even like people have ideas in the movies, like you're sitting on a cloud and playing harps all the time, and or one long church service, or whatever it is. Like, it's not religious. I feel like heaven is something that's so great and wonderful and fulfilling and joyful and happy, and it's where our Creator is, right? Now, with that established, right, that's my thinking what heaven is. Like, another thing I know about God being a Christian is that He's also holy. Holy. What does holy mean? Holy means that in Him there is no darkness. In Him there is no sin. In Him, and He doesn't tolerate being in the presence of sin. Every time I read anything in the Bible about God when He appears on the earth, even angels like hide their sort of eyes from Him because they cannot dare to behold the purity, the light that God is. With that in mind, right, I know that no one sinful can stand in the presence of God, because if they tried to stand in the presence of something so holy, so wonderful, they would be just utterly destroyed. They wouldn't be alive, right? Because sin and light, darkness and light do not mingle. Darkness gets destroyed by light, right?
Okay, cool.
So that creates a problem though, right? Because we just established I'm a sinner.
But you've also done good stuff in life.
I've done good stuff, right? But the good stuff doesn't take away the bad stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
Doesn't take it away. I mean, it just...
True. Okay, yeah, no, I get what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
I get what you're trying to say.
Like, it's to give you an analogy, let's say I stole something from a shop, right? And I got told to go to the magistrate's court, right? And the judge tells me, all right, that we're gonna let you go, but you have to pay a fine. You have to pay a fine of this amount of, let's say, £100, just for argument's sake, right? What if I said, look, judge, I made a mistake, but you know that I've actually done charitable works. I've given to charity and all these other things. And the judge will kind of look at me, if he's the righteous judge, he will look at me funny. It's like, all these other things, like, you should have done, and you need to continue to do if you're going to be a good citizen, but it doesn't matter because you've done this, you stole.
So you should be punished for it.
You need to punish for it. Like, someone has to pay for it, right? That fine has to be if he's a righteous judge. And so that's my analogy of like sin. Like, I can appear before the Holy One, and I can give all the excuses. I've done good things. I've honored my parents, and I've loved my wife, and all this stuff. Like blah 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 blah. Like, I can give you a whole list of things that you've done wrong. It doesn't take away those things, right? And so the problem is, how can anyone with that in mind, how can anyone go to heaven? That's the problem, right? That is the big problem. Now, here's where the religion comes in, okay. Right? Here's the religion comes. As a Christian, I believe that God solves that for us in a very, very unique way that is unique to Christianity, right? And you may have heard this before, but maybe you have not sort of put together the two and two, right? But Jesus Christ, right, who we believe as Christians is the Son of God who came to this earth, right? He came with a singular purpose, right? And single purpose was to die, to pay the punishment for the sin.
Okay, cool.
Right?
Cool.
So the idea is that He takes on Himself the punishment that you deserve, I deserve. He takes it on Himself to satisfy the wrath and the law of God, right? And so that everyone who believes in Him, puts their trust in Him, they can have the hope that in exchange they get His righteousness, His perfection, because He's a pure guy who never sinned, right? That's a big exchange, right? He takes our sins, He gives us His righteousness. So God looks at us, He sees His Son. He doesn't see anymore a sinful man, an impure man. He sees His Son. Now, usually at this point, like Muslims would say, look, does that give you then the license to do whatever you want, right? Because Jesus will always, sort of pay for your sins. But that would be hypocritical, right? If I, as a Christian, say, oh well, Jesus paid for it, now I'm gonna lust and I'm going to steal and other things. Like I would take advantage of a gift of love and sacrifice. It would show that I don't really value it. It would show that I'm actually don't really understand it fully, right? Instead, I am humbled that someone would die for me. I'm just thankful, and I want to honor my Lord with my life for what He's done for me, right? And how do I honor Him? What I try to be like Him. I try to live a life of humility, of sacrifice, of love that He lived and that He told me to live. And that's by loving and honoring Him, I'm giving Him more glory. I'm pointing more people to Him by my example. I'm drawing people and say, look, there's someone, there's a solution, there's someone you can go to who can change your life, who can give you hope, who can secure eternity for you. And that's a good news, right? And that's a unique message for Christians, for Christianity. Now, in Islam, you have a slightly different answer, right? The answer is much, I don't want to speak on behalf of Muslims because I'm not one myself, but...
Let me know, because I don't know much about religion, to be honest.
Yeah, but Muslims would say, you continuously have to do good. They call it zakat, and sort of giving alms and charity, and it's one of the 5 pillars of Islam. And it's the charitable works that ultimately outweigh your bad things. So like there is a sense, there will be some sort of a scale that God will apply at the end of life.
Cool.
And if your good deeds outweigh your bad deeds, then God will accept you. And if they don't, then you will go to hell, right? But you're kind of kept in a state of uncertainty, and only God knows in the end where you will go, right?
On the scale, yeah.
On the scale, right? And that's kind of my understanding of the Islam answer. To me, I mean, I can give you the reasons. Like I don't know how you could possibly weigh a good deed against a bad deed. Sin is sin, like I mentioned to you before. Like it just darkens, it pollutes. It's like a water that is polluted. No matter how much water you add, the water still has disease in it. Like
It's the same water.
It's the same water, right? You can add more pure water, but if the disease is in the water, the disease is still in the water. You're going to get poison. It doesn't matter how much pure water you add to it. I mean, that's how I look at it, right? So I don't understand their equations, and I think ultimately that it leaves you in a state of like you feel like you're always under some sort of you're never good enough. You always have to strive more, and there's other reasons I disagree with Islam, but this is not for me to sort of poo-poo it or whatever it is. I'm just telling you kind of what I understand about it. Yeah.
So you're telling me you will let God to decide for you, like you don't really know if you'll go to heaven or hell, right?
Well, I would say you're right in saying I let God decide, but I have hope and confidence that I don't think any other, as a Christian, I have a hope and confidence because I trust His promise. And His promise was clear. His promise was, if you trust in my Son for what He did on the cross for your sin, to pay for your sin, then I will give you eternal life. That was His promise. Like, God doesn't lie. I don't believe God lies, right? And I believe that I've given my heart and my life to Him, and I trust Him. So ultimately, I'm not a judge. I'm not God to decide about myself, but I have to trust that what He said is true, and I trust Him and I believe in Him. And so that gives me some level of certainty and hope and confidence, so that I'm not left in a state of limbo, but I hold on to that.
That's good for you.
Yeah.
So it seems like you've done a lot of good stuff in your life. Me, if I was to go to heaven or hell, I think I'll go to hell, honestly. Just I'm gonna say I've done a lot of bad stuff, but I feel like sorry.
But you know what it takes to, like, the things that I've done in my 30s. You're not even 30, right? I've done it in 30. So I've done probably more bad things that you have done by the time that I've actually believed. But it gets even more wondrous. Like, there's a story in the Bible, I don't know if you heard it, but when Jesus was crucified, there were 2 other people who were crucified next to Him, okay? Thieves. There were thieves. The Romans crucified thieves at that time, apparently, right? Jesus is on the cross, dying, agonizing death, but He can still speak and interact because it took them long time to die. the two thieves next to him, the same thing. So these are the words that were recorded back then, right? One of the thieves says to him, if you're so good, if you're the Son of God, you should save yourself and save us. Why don't you do that? He was sort of just goading him, sort of saying, you're not the Son of God, you're not God because you're hanging with us on the cross. You're like a criminal, just like the rest of us, right? Now the other thief said, leave him alone. Unlike you and me, he's here because he has done nothing wrong. Jesus is on the cross. We are here because we're thieves, but Jesus is on the cross because he's done nothing wrong. He was crucified unjustly. Leave him alone. And then he turned to Jesus, Lord, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. He asked him. And Jesus looked at him with compassion because he saw that this other thief was repentant. He saw his state. He saw that his sin is what got him into that situation. He also saw about Jesus that he was different, that he was pure. He was there for no good reason. And so Jesus said the following to him. He said, today you will be with me in paradise. Right? So that guy had seconds, maybe minutes to live, hanging on the cross. His whole life was a life of thievery, which ended up getting him crucified for right reasons. Minutes before he died, Jesus told him that he will end up in paradise. For what? Because he realized his nature, his sin, his condition. Effectively, the word is repentant. He realized about himself how deprived he is, how actually bad he is. And then the other thing he did is he recognized in Jesus as someone who is Lord, someone who is more than a human being, someone who has the power over life and death. And he asked him to remember him in his own kingdom, someone who's a king, right, over life and death. Those two things are really the only thing that are necessary to have a difference between going to heaven and hell. So in your example, right, it doesn't take much more than those two things. Recognize it. I think it sounds like you recognize that there is a sin, that there is a problem. The other thing is just about looking at the one who can solve the problem and trusting him, getting to know him more. I mean, it's difficult for me to convey to someone who has never heard much about Jesus or read much about him and expect him like, okay, you'll trust him like overnight or something like that. No, but like if you read about him, get to know him, pray. He resurrected after being crucified. He resurrected. He's alive, we believe. And he says he appeared to his disciples and he said, I will be with you always until the end of the age. I will send you my Holy Spirit to guide you, to comfort you. Pray to me and I will answer your prayers. So he put a bunch of promises to his people, right? So it just requires repentance and trust. And that doesn't take, you don't have to go to church to do that. You don't have to give money to anyone. You don't have to sign up any membership or anything like that. It requires you to know your Savior, get to know him, pray to him, ask him, I'm a sinner. I'm sorry. Please save me. Please reveal yourself to me. Help me to know you more. And that is a prayer of someone who, like myself, that's how I started, right? All I'm telling you, right, is that this is not difficult to do, right?
Whatever happens when I die, it's whatever happens. Like, honestly, it's my first time talking to someone like proper religious. Honestly, my whole life, I'm an atheist. I don't really talk about religion.
It's fair.
What I'm more interested also, like the state of the UK. But I'm assuming you're like focusing on like religion channel, right? So I won't go into it.
Well, yeah, I'm more. My channel is about faith and religion, but it's not unrelated. I mean, obviously, faith is part of our philosophy, and this country, I don't know if that's what you're going, right, has been based on Christian roots, right?
Uh-huh.
What were you going to say? Go ahead. I'm just curious to see.
So this country, the UK, is a Christian country, right? Or supposedly, yeah?
Has been, I would say, not so much anymore.
No.
Now, statistically, less than half of the people would be calling themselves Christian, less than half. So you couldn't really call it a Christian country, although it's in the air still to some extent. Yeah, we celebrate Christmas, we celebrate Easter, although what is Christmas? Some gift and shopping, and what is Easter? Chocolates. It's not religious anymore. But sorry, I don't want to interrupt you.
No,
Tell me
fine.
what. Yeah.
I wanted to know what you thought about like the state of the country. Like they put Eid Mubarak in London.
Yeah.
I've got family that's Muslim, but that's taking a piss to the Christians. Like, it's a Christian country. If I came to this country, I'd want to respect the people, the culture. If I grew up in the country, I would obviously grew up culturally, wherever I grew up. But if I came to another country, I'd have to go there and respect it. I don't go there and tell people my beliefs. I won't enforce my beliefs into them.
Okay. Yeah. So it's interesting, right? They said, I mean, I came into this country as an immigrant, right? So I don't have as much of the I'd say, I don't have the historical knowledge, and I haven't grown up here. But I grieve that this country is being taken away from its Christian roots. And not so much that I don't care that Khan is not a Christian, is running as a mayor of London. That's not my problem so much per se, or that the leadership, Rishi Sunak or others are no Christians anymore, and Christianity is kind of not in the leadership or in the lips of the leaders. But I do grieve that the population. I'm much more grieving that the population of this country has forgotten what Christianity is all about, and it's turned it into something that it's not. It's turned it into, like I said, Christmas has become commercialized, shopping, holidays, right? And people think about Christianity, and they think about it usually in terms of either the abuses that have happened in the church, and which are true, they have happened. Or they think about it in terms of boring, like, okay, what are you asking me to go to church on a Sunday and sit and listen to some boring sermons? Or they think about it in terms of obligation, like something that they have to do, like a list of rules, and it's a spoil sport for them. Like, they want to have freedom to decide for themselves. They don't want to be told, oh, you must not drink, or you must not eat this, that, and the other. So they see it as a list of oppressive rules, right? And none of those things are what Christianity is. Like I told you, like at its roots, the Christianity is about a relationship with your Creator, with your God, right? None of the other things are what Jesus and Christianity was at any point meant to be. And so that twisting, is what grieves me more. And I think the leadership is just a product of that, right? Leadership is when you don't know what you are supposed to be, then you don't know what your aim, what your target that you're aspiring to is. And so we obviously meander and we're like blind men walking in the dark. And that's kind of how I see the society going on.
That's interesting. And do you think, with how many like cultures there are in this country now, like hundreds, like literally the whole world is in this country, do you think this country will continue peacefully in the next 10, 20 years? Or do you think sooner or later we're going to have a cultural clash where people start fighting each other, killing each other because, this is my religion, this is your religion, and all of this starts from wars from other countries, like as we've seen Israel versus Gaza, yeah? Mm-hmm. That's already causing problems in this country. So imagine 10, 20 years, there's going to be more wars, different, let's say it could be Hindu versus something, yeah? Mm-hmm. That's going to affect here. Do you think this country will continue stably or peacefully, if you know what I'm trying to say? Like, do you think we'll be civilized in 10, 20 years? Like, if you know what I'm trying to say?
I know what you're trying to say, and it's a very good question. I wish I was a prophet, but I'm not. I don't know what the future holds. But I can tell you this, right? I know what Bible says about the future. Bible speaks of the future, or the near future, and I think we're heading there. Not in beautiful terms, right? I think we are going to see more wars. And I think it's actually, rather than just thinking about it at the UK level, I think these are going to be global in nature, and I think obviously the global wars are gonna manifest in a specific way, even in this country, maybe with division, and unrest. But I think we're talking about, I personally think over the next near term, I think there's going to be a war at a global scale, unrest at a global scale. And
I'm with you on that. Definitely. It's bound to happen at any point. Like China already, big tension with America. 2025. Have you played Black Ops 2, by the way?
No, I haven't. No.
But it was like Call of Duty, right?
Yeah, I played it.
Black Ops 2.
Yeah.
In the trailer, it was about 2025. A lot of mad stuff happening about
Right.
war, about the whole world,
Okay.
and it's happening now. Like 2024, there's everything starting already.
Yeah.
Everything globally scaling up to 2025.
Yeah.
Like Call of Duty, I don't know, but Call of Duty is like they're thinking of the future.
Well, Call of Duty itself and many similar sort of things are like they are probably borrowing frankly from what Bible is already saying, from what people feel in their hearts as well, right? So, and I think we all feel that this problem of sin, and I always like to correct myself, it's easy to speak about the problems being somewhere out there, right? It's the Palestinians, it's the Israelis, it's the Russians, it's those guys, Chinese. But to me, that's just a extrapolation or broadening of the ultimate problem, which starts in my own heart, right? With greed, with pride, and when I allow it for the sin to take possession of my behavior, I am the problem. I become the problem. I'm become the one who doesn't respect my neighbor, who doesn't try to make peace, but actually perpetuates conflict. And to me, that's, I always try to correct myself. I'm not trying to look at the problem being out there. I think to me that the problem is the same. It's just greater, at a greater scale. And it's going to blow up probably quite soon. And then I think the end will come then, right? And I think this is what I believe. There is an end to history. The history will come to an end, and in Bible story, a prophecy is that Jesus will return, and then when he does return, he will judge. He will bring this history to an end. There will be a judgment. And there will be those who continue to reject God and who continue to throw him away, who continue to live a life of evil. They will be dealt with then. And those who have humbled themselves, who have trusted God and sought him out sincerely with their heart, put their trust in their Lord and Savior, they will be drawn and saved. And there will be a new heaven and a new earth, right? This earth and this heaven will be destroyed, because it's itself affected by corruption. As beautiful as this day is, we know there's earthquakes, we know there's things that we all don't find pleasant, right? There's diseases, there's viruses and other things. There'll be a new heaven and a new earth is promised, right? Where it'll be remade, it will be made even better than it is now. It will not be affected by sin. And it will be wonderful to explore and to enjoy. This is what I think. I'm looking forward to. This is what I believe heaven is. I'm not using that as an excuse that I do believe in the fact that we should look after this creation. We're still living in it, and I don't think we should be destroying it. I do think climate change is something that we should be somehow addressing. But I do think that ultimately, there will be a better world that will come, right? So that's kind of all the things that I'm holding in my mind. But in the meantime, my heart goes out to my fellow human being, to my neighbor, to people like yourself, and I just want to tell them, look, if you think there is a problem, you're right, there is a problem. I believe there's a solution. I want to at least tell you about it and encourage you. Seek it out for yourself. Don't trust me, but research it, look into it. And I think it's beneficial, to find truly that there is someone greater than us, that he loves us, that he wants to know us, that he seeks us in a relationship with him, is a great fulfillment, I think, of our potential, of our nature as human beings. Yeah.
Definitely not. This subject, I've been too ignorant to it, because I don't really research about religions. I don't really think about religion that much, but a lot of the people in the world, they have a belief, and I don't. But I've been so ignorant to it. But I will definitely look into it, research it, because religion is a big thing, and I've been too ignorant to it. So I will look into it. I know in Islam, they got in the book, the Quran, sorry. They had long time ago. They in the book, something. My friend told me, but they said something about the desert turning into grass, the desert turning into a forest or something like that.
Okay.
And it's already happening now, right?
I don't know about that. No, that's part that I'm not familiar with. No, I can't. I don't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's this like stuff like that. The Quran that they how do you say it? They predicted the future.
Like a prophecy or something like that that's coming true. Okay.
They've apparently, but my friend told me he's Muslim. There's already like stuff in the Quran that is already came to life now, and they've been written thousands of years ago.
Okay.
Does Jesus say any prophecy or about?
Yeah, no, he did speak about prophecy quite a lot, right? And he said, he prophesied what I've just sort of told you, right?
Is that the main one? Sorry, that's the main one, right?
Well, he spoke about his return, right, and the fact that he's going to come back and he will judge, and then until then there will be things. The history is going to be going worse, right? There will be wars, rumors of wars, earthquakes. People will be intolerant, disrespectful. So he spoke quite a lot about the future in those terms, yeah. Okay. But there was a lot of prophecy about him, like for example the fact that Bible speaks about. Where he was born, where he will be born, and that he was born in that city, right? We have the Old Testament and the New Testament. So the New Testament is about Jesus. The Old Testament is the Jewish Torah. There's prophecies about the Messiah that is to come. Jesus was fulfilling those prophecies. He was born in Bethlehem, as it was foretold that he would be. He was crucified, like it was foretold that he would die for people's sins. Number of other things about him he fulfilled. So he became a fulfillment of prophecy, and then but ultimately his mission was not so much to prophesy and to give more words. Like I said, his main mission was to be the sacrifice for the sins of the world, right? That because history kind of comes to a point, right? Even the years, like what is today, 2024, AD, Anno Domini, the year of our Lord. So the history is split. The time is split. You have the BC, before Christ, and AD, year of our Lord, right? So he split history, like literally he did, right? We count our years according to the time, how many years have passed since he came, right? Because the whole history was the fulfillment of the expectation of his coming. He came, and we're now in the period between the time that he died and resurrected and the time that he will come back again. That's where we are.
Oh, that's interesting. That's very, very interesting.
And even Islam believes, by the way, that Jesus will return.
Jesus?
Yes, that he will return, and that will mark the end of the age. That's one of their core beliefs. What they don't believe, right? They don't believe that he was the Son of God. They don't believe that he died for the sins of the world. So because I told you this before, right? That because they believe no one can provide a sacrifice for another man's sin, that God doesn't have son, that God doesn't have children. They reject all of that. So they reject Jesus' divinity. And then they believe that ultimately the sin is going to be something that the human beings, we can deal with ourselves, and God will sort of judge between good and bad. So that's their belief, right? So that's where the difference is. But they revere Jesus as a prophet. They know that he was special, and that he will come back. Yeah, so those are the overlapping parts. Yeah.
Well, it's good to know, like, knowledge about your faith. Honestly, I learned a lot today.
Yeah.
Talking about this is been good for me. I definitely will research into see the one side, other side.
Yeah, do.
Definitely want.
Do, and like I said, it's something that I wish, I came to believe in to become a Christian in my 30s, right? I wish I'd known about it earlier, right? Because I would have probably ordered my life in a way that I wouldn't have as many regrets as I do now. When I say regrets, I mean things that I've done that I know I've done bad, that even now I remember and I'm just like cringe, right? And
If it's cringe, then it's not bad. If it's cringe, it's not bad. It's just cringy, innit?
well, I'm saying cringe as in, yes, I mean, there's stuff that is embarrassing. I'm not talking about that, but like things that are like, I wish I could take the words back.
Oh, okay.
I wish I didn't hurt
Someone's feeling.
others, not just feelings, but like actually hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the kind of things, I wish I didn't cause as much harm and hurt as I did. Like, and if I came to faith and humbled myself, I believe that I would have been not as guilty of that. But nevertheless, I'm still thankful that now I have been changed. I'm a changed person, and that I have that hope in me. Whether I have another day to live, whether I have another year or 10 or 20, 40 years, to me, it doesn't matter really. You could kill me now, and I would have, I would be fine. That's fine, because I know what's next for me. I don't have any more regrets. I know what the future holds. So the reason I'm saying that is that, think about it. Like you said, I really like the way you said it. Right? It's seek it out, search it out. Don't think about it as a burden, but think about it as something that can be rewarding in your life, something that can enrich your life and actually give you more potential. It can truly give you an understanding of who you are. Who is it that you are? What is it that you're meant to be on this earth? People talk about, identity, who they are all the time. I think this is really the one way to really get to grips with it. Yeah. So I encourage you to, It might take a little bit of effort, to put it in. It's useful and rewarding. Yeah.
Definitely. I will see what you believe and other religion, 100%.